put a trigger warning on trigger warnings.
I gotta take it on the other side.
Welcome back in for another edition of The Other Side with Anthony DiRenzo and Dan Borowski. I am Dan Borowski speaking right now. On the other screen, you see there is Anthony DiRenzo. Real quick about us, I am the producer of the Dom Giordano program. Anthony, the producer of the Nick Cale show, Dawn Stensland show, and just all-around great guy that we occasionally team up to give our thoughts on issues as they unfold. And we thought this week we'd get together as these results roll in for this Democratic and Republican primary for mayor here in Philadelphia. Just some quick results. Unsurprisingly, David O has already secured his Republican primary win. Anthony?
As expected, going unopposed.
Yes, but in Philadelphia, I think it's 9-1. Democrats outnumber Republicans, so it's kind of a common notion that whoever wins the Democratic primary gets a good shot to win the entire thing. So just leading off real quick, want to give a plug to a Bill Maher interview that you can find. Dom spoke with Bill Maher today. It was awesome, and you hear Bill Maher in our introduction. Anthony and I are big fans of his, and I think what it is about that guy is he, while left-leaning, I appreciate his relentless don't give a damn, and he'll attack either side with the same kind of weight. Yeah. And I said it on the Dom show the other day, in the fight against wokeness, he's the number one soldier. So you can find that on the Odyssey app. You can find that 12thwpdht.com. Before we get into numbers, though, Anthony, I just want to check in. How you doing, man?
I am good. Voting went well.
Yes.
I have a fun story I'll just lead off with. So I head over to my local poll in Philadelphia, and it's kind of like a park where I vote. But either way, I went over. There's some music playing, a bunch of people around. I just pretended like I was on my phone. I had my AirPods in, just ignoring, in my total city mode. And just straight up, I'm trying to walk by these people. They hand me these things. Of course, it's all mostly for Helen Gim. There was one other pamphlet for someone else. And then this other man stops me. I'm getting closer and closer to the door. This guy stops me. I finally take out my AirPods, and he's like, hi.
So wait, hold on. Before you go there, was he doing the thing that happens in parks here where someone wants to have a conversation with you where they're eyeing you up and you're like, okay, I kind of have to remove.
Yeah, and he's yelling at me at this point. So I had to take out my, it's like, oh my God, I take out my AirPods. I'm like, all right, yeah, what's up? And they're like, oh, excuse me, I'm Helen Gim's uncle. This is Helen Gim's daughter, actually. Then walked me back over to her and made me shake her hand. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah, so nice to meet you. Oh, this is great.
Gim's uncle?
Yeah, Gim's uncle and
did he know
daughter.
Did he know who you were?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there's a chance. I guess I don't think many people know who I am right now.
No,
but you know what I mean. It's just it's weird. I don't know, to see someone's uncle and daughter and pandering that much just outside and no matter what, I know, again, we seem a little biased against her, obviously, but at the same time, no matter who that is, if your family members are right there, pandering me and then, forcefully talking to me, that's
so
just
it did not encourage you to vote for Helen Gim
I mean,
anymore.
And you knew I wasn't going to anyway, but, say I was a Helen Gim, someone considering Helen Gim, and that happens to you, I think that totally pushes you off the other side. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that really shows us what we're alluding to here with some of the early results going toward what it seems is Sherelle and Rebecca, which seems like the early.
I'm refreshing as we speak, but last refresh. So what happens here is we have the results come in and then everyone checks them and it bogs everything down. But here they are. It looks like with early numbers of mail-in votes. So these are mail-in results. Rebecca Reinhart, Sherelle Parker, just about neck and neck with 27% of the vote, 14,000 mail-in ballots. Alan Dom, Helen Gim, about 8,000 mail-in ballots casted in their favor. Listening to KYW earlier, our sister station, they said around 80,000 votes is a very secure number, is where we'll need to be for anyone to get there. But early returns showing Gim with half the mail-in ballots and mail-in balloting, we talk on Dom's show, and I'm sure you guys do too on your shows. It's a very progressive kind of tactic. It's a left-leaning thing. So to see Helen Gim not get the numbers that I I would have expected from mail-in balloting is surprising. You share the same sentiment?
I I'm not that surprised by the way, but I just don't think anyone that's putting in a mail-in ballot is really necessarily thinking about it a lot. To your point, a lot of these new younger generation voters, I think they're leaning toward the mail-in balloting. I don't have to go. I don't have to wait in line. And I mean, to be honest with you, it's not like there was some crazy line today, but it seemed busier than when I was voting in November. And I like that. I like waiting. I thank the poll workers. I, got to chat it up a little bit with some of the voters, and nobody was asking each other who we were voting for, but it was just a good environment. It shows people care at least a little bit. I know obviously it seems like the total turnout isn't huge. It is still just a primary, which typically has a lower turnout. Let's hope.
And it's
and
off.
Yeah.
It's an off year. I mean,
and I just hope. I mean, local is just so much more important. I really hope people do show up in November. Obviously, probably will be less than I want either way, but I really hope we see better numbers than we have today. But I just think people are fed up in a lot of these neighborhoods, so it's good to see. At least I think I saw the most turnout in recent memory, at least in my neighborhood, which was nice.
Yeah. And there were good turnouts in South Philadelphia. And some other, I want to go through some neighborhoods here in a second. Let's do it now. Center City, great turnout. Manayunk, this is from 66 Wards. So 66wards.com is the website that has chronicled voting here in Philadelphia, and projecting at 7:58, they estimated around 202,000 people have voted in person, around 60,000 mail-in ballots returned. Now, those numbers obviously low, but you're seeing good turnout in Center City, Manayunk, and Roxborough. And Roxborough, I was talking to Dom. Dom was going to join us today, but we had technical difficulties, which stinks. I would love to hear what Dom had to say about this. But Roxborough is a very big stronghold for police, service members, that kind of thing. Do you think that signifies something like a Sherrell Parker then is making some kind of waves in the in-person voting side of things as well?
It very much seems like that. I don't know for a fact, obviously, but I do have a feeling that it seems like a lot of people in my neighborhood voted for Sherrell. I saw a lot of people, just a lot of campaign signage for her late. A lot of people, I think she just came off as genuine to a lot of people who were on the fence as well. If you have met her, if you've talked to her, and you can disagree with some of the things she's done. She's been in politics for a long time, which I know some people have a problem with, but I think at the same time, she's proven she can work with people that she clearly disagrees with. And on top of that, like her sentiment about police, her sentiment about possibly getting the Sixers arena done, I think she's rational. She's not one of these people that's off the edge, and she understands the Mayor Kenny kind of blueprint will not work. And I guess most of them kind of understand that, but either way, I think she resonated in a way that I guess early on maybe people didn't think she would.
Well, initially, I mean, Sherrell was the number 2 on city council, a very seemingly progressive city council. I thought she would be a very progressive candidate, and she came out with in favor of constitutional stop and frisk, which I think to this day, like even Amin came out in favor, but I think he's the only other candidate to support it. She's very moderate when it comes to justice, and I am surprised to hear what we've heard from Sherrell and Alan Dom, similarly, also a former council member, very moderate kind of take on things. Do you think Philadelphians have kind of just gotten fed up to the point that their personal lives are now being affected by crime? Stores are leaving. You can't write SEPTA, that they are just they're saying prioritize my life first before my politics and virtue signaling?
I think it said, many people, it seemed like their number one issue was crime. And a lot of people, when it came down to polling, that was, and even on the Inquirer tonight, it's saying the leading issues were crime and the Sixers arena, ironically, which I know a lot of people, including, I know Helen Ginn was trying to downplay the importance of that in the election, which I don't know. I think it just goes to the bigger notion of that area of the city just needs to be revitalized. They need to revitalize. There's parts of that city right there. It's not just that building. There's plenty of buildings that have to be dealt with. And, getting businesses back in there after COVID is such an important thing. I don't think, if you ask the average person, I think crime is much more top of mind either way when it comes down to it. And
schools too, though.
Yeah, school. I think that's,
I've heard that a lot today.
I think that's a lot of why people like Helen. But then I also think Alan Dom and Sherrell's plans with school were pretty interesting. And even Jeff Brown, I know no one wants to give Jeff Brown any props anymore. But
an angle I've seen about Helen is Philadelphians are very non-bullshit kind of people. Like if you try to skirt them one way and you're not being genuine, people see through that. And I think through the campaign, Helen started off strong. But as time went on, even progressives started to realize Helen's making these kind of promises that there's absolutely no way they can realistically come to fruition. And I was talking to Dom. There was a thread about the Inquirer endorsement for Rebecca Reinhart on a hyper-progressive Philadelphia subreddit on Reddit, which is a progressive site. And even on the comments of Reinhart, everything that was being upvoted was pro-Reinhart, anti-Gim, don't vote Helen Gim, go vote for Helen Reinhart, or for Rebecca Reinhart. And it was surprising to see that.
Yeah. No, I get that. And we're getting some people in the chat right now.
Read Trisha's comment.
Yeah,
here.
Trisha said, I only vote in person. I did not vote today because I'm a Republican and they will never win. I won't change my party because that triggers jury summons. So, yeah. I don't know. Is that going to trigger my jury summon? We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you changed. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I came out this morning. Nick Hale, I transitioned for a day. He announced on air. Yeah.
So she says because a Republican will never win, though. If you put David O against Helen Gim, you think David O has any sort of shot, or you think Helen Gim's just going to blow him away? I think
he would have a shot.
Yeah, because I think O has a chance of winning over some moderates.
Well,
Alan Dom voters.
It seems like even if, I don't know how many, I think it's 74% Democrat this city, and it probably went up because of people like me for this primary. So that's just something in general. But to think about what will Republicans do, supposedly I saw something on Philly Crime Update earlier. Some of the Republican ballots didn't even list David O's name. I know he ran unopposed, but the fact that his name's not on there.
I think it was the Philadelphia Republican Party had some kind of handout or mailer that they were giving out today, and it just didn't list him as the mayoral candidate. Complete incompetence.
But I think that goes down to the constant. It seems like they have such a rift. They don't get along. I don't know what it is, the Republicans and David O. The Republicans in Philly are a mess. They're barely even a party anymore because they don't really know what they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, he would appeal to people. But I don't know. It would be tight against Helen Gim. Helen would probably still win, but I think he'd put up a bigger fight than people expect.
Dom uses the word differentiate a lot. When talking about David O's shots against Helen Gim, because in a city that, again, I think is fed up with the bullshit that we're seeing. I excuse my language. Wow, I'm talking kind of freely here. I guess we're not on the radio.
Yeah,
so
we're allowed
to. When you have the crime that we're seeing, Maisie, when it's dark outside, doesn't want to go pump gas on Aramingo. When you have situations that are touching that close to home, I think people might put their virtue signaling on social media aside for the progressive candidate and say, hey, I need a better life here. And maybe vote for the Republican in David O.
I just think people are fed up, bottom line. We can't keep going more left. That's why I hope most people just are, if they're on the fence for Helen, please just don't go that way. We're already going that way, and it's just hasn't been all what it's cooped up to be. So
we don't need more of that, more Krasner, more working families party kind of thing.
Trisha's gonna vote for O. Everyone's asking which Daniel.
I know, this is so. Daniel's got to go by Dez. We had a whole thing because he was going by Dan on Matt Rooney's show. Both great guys, Matt and Daniel. And I texted him saying, "Come on, man, just go by Dez on air.
Come on,
like make it easy." And so we decided that we're gonna pursue a sponsorship and try to get his name sponsored. So he's like producer Skittles or something. So every time he can get some money in his pocket, and just be a different name. Take a name of a product. More in the chat. Is there anything? I will vote for O. Trisha said. Yeah, I would hope so. Especially against Skim, that would be terrible.
David O, I think, deserves a fighting chance.
Well, the thing with O is he's not very far right on a lot of issues. I think he'd be similar to. Now, this name might make a lot of left-leaning individuals shudder because of how things have gone recently. But as a mayor, Rudy Giuliani completely changed New York and fixed that city. It was crime-ridden before he got into office, tough on crime policies, broken windows, carrot and stick approach, all the kind of stop and frisk. He turned that city around and made Manhattan a desirable destination again.
Yes, and that's, I think, after COVID. Look at all these numbers. I was looking at the stats today. New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Philadelphia. All of these cities, people are leaving every single city ever since the pandemic, ever since these riots happened and BLM and all that. And I'm not trying to go against it. that all of us at the time, we didn't know what was going on with COVID, and then crime got worse and worse, and we didn't know how to handle it. But at the end of the day, we have to recover in a different way here. We can't keep funding the things and trying to act like police are the problem and going down that path. And I think...
What's the problem?
I think the problem is just constantly almost blaming the victim when it comes down to policing. We're consistently... I mean, I think people are even scared to concealed carry anymore, because if you do and you're in the wrong... I mean, look at this Jordan Neely thing. The guy was putting him in a chokehold, and he ended up dying, which is unfortunate, but it's not like he put a gun to his head and just shot him. So it's, I think and that's on top of.
You don't consider Neely a hero, though, do you? There's a lot of online rhetoric
I'm not saying he's a hero. I think. I mean, he was. People were concerned about him.
Sorry, not Neely. I'm talking to.
The guy that.
Yeah, I don't have his name.
No, I can't think of his name right now.
The person that killed Neely. Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking of him as a hero either. But my whole point is, I think people are going to start doing this. I mean, that's why there's all this vigilantism almost, and just to crime and lawlessness, because it's accepted.
Daniel Penny.
And all at the end of the day, all these people just get away with whatever they want to get away with, because they're in these neighborhoods that are unfortunate, and they're letting them get away with it a lot of the time. And if they know how to get away with it, for the most part.
Well, that's what's happening. Yeah. Like I'm very active because of Krasner Land on Philly Wiki and a lot of different kind of underground sources into the gang life, criminal life of Philadelphia. And a lot of times it's the same individuals committing the same crimes over and over again. And on top of that, these individuals are idolized in the drill rap game. And that kind of, when people see these individuals getting away with legit murder on occasion, they know that they indeed can go commit crime and get away with it themselves. So it spreads like a virus, and when you have absolutely no accountability for a younger generation, it's going to keep exploding. And I look at someone like Helen Gim, and I'm petrified. I got to say, if Helen Gim gets into office and lets Larry Krasner run loose, I really blame Larry Krasner and his progressive policies for enabling the idea of kids in wherever it's happening here in Philadelphia to idolize those who are doing this murder and do it themselves.
No, and to that point, I know earlier we mentioned Rebecca and Sherelle are currently it's slowly being updated, but that was a very early lead. When it comes down to how they would deal with Krasner, if you have a Sherelle or a Rebecca, do you think someone like Sherelle or Rebecca would fight back against Krasner and make sure that these gun offenses are, people that are put to... I mean, think about it, really, with these guns. I get so offended with this mass shooting thing all the time, because look at these cities. Mass shootings happen every day here, whether it's Philadelphia, Baltimore, Chicago, really all these Boston... New York. It's everything's
never national news.
Everything's underreported on that. It doesn't matter what it is. Any inner city neighborhood, there are mass shootings each and every day, and we don't talk about it unless it's in a gentrified neighborhood with big, nice houses and a big suburban, nice school that you would never think it happens in. But then it happens here. There's been over 100 Philadelphia students shot this year, and that's not the mass shooting. We should be trying to get the illegal guns off the street. Why are we talking about taking away legal guns? And then on top of, to my point earlier, you can't even conceal carry and protect yourself. And I know we have some guys in the chat saying Penny is a hero.
Just want to remind everyone, Inquirer in January of 2022, Krasner's office told the Inquirer, quote, "We do not believe that arresting people and convicting them for illegal gun possession is a viable strategy to reduce shootings."
Yeah, when it's illegal firearms.
Just write it right up here.
Yeah.
And Jimmy writes in, Penny is a hero. Why are you reluctant to call him a hero?
I just don't think...
I have my take on this.
I just don't think anyone that murders someone is a hero. And I'm not saying he meant to murder him. I think if anything it was...
It's debatable, though. So, like, if you go to war and you're killing the enemy, you're a hero.
That's true.
This isn't a war, and I don't think this guy's the enemy.
But I do understand, looking at how these cities are and the state of public transit and people just trying to have safe lives, I understand looking at it as such and not having, someone wrote in and said, you don't really have the time to assess, is this guy really a threat? Is he going to kill people on this train? You only have time to react and try to restrain. And, it's such an escalation quickly.
Like he was doing everything that his server's training told him to do. There's no he was trying to de-escalate the situation. I just don't know if you needed. I don't know though. I mean this is why I can't call him a hero though, because I just don't know the facts on the situation. But do you have to hold someone in a rear naked choke for that long, that they lose consciousness and die?
Yeah, like can't you restrain him and hold him down on his back at that point or something like that?
I'm a very big individual, 6'8", right? But if you came onto a train drunken, yelling at women, harassing people, I think I could restrain you into a corner and hold you off into the corner.
Me specifically?
Yeah, but well, just someone your size.
I know.
Putting my elbow up, and I just feel like most people, like if you have someone that has the physical fitness of a Marine there,
yeah,
pin him to the wall using your elbow until the next stop, and then get him off the train. You don't have to get behind the guy, choke him, and lead to his death. And that's just where, I think him stepping up for the innocent and the victims in the situation, who I think are the individuals on the train who had to deal with this harassment. I think that in itself is heroic, but my line gets drawn where it turned into a murder because of the way that he did it.
Yeah.
So that's just where I stand, Jimmy.
Yeah.
One, you just called him a murderer. Why do you feel comfortable calling him a murderer? Because the guy died.
Yeah, I mean
that's where it comes from, and he died at the hands of someone.
Yeah.
So
it didn't have to happen. I know it escalated so quickly, and he didn't necessarily mean it, but I get what Dan's saying, because you can find another way to restrain him in that moment.
Yeah.
And we can't be so reactionary. This is what I mean with issues like this. We can't turn it into so far one way and so far the other way. And we can't say it's justified on one end and the other end it's not. Like, we have to look at it a little rationally. I mean, this guy should have been behind bars already.
Yeah. That's
just bottom line.
Yeah.
That's the fact of it. And this should have never happened because he should have been in jail. So and I think that's the main thing when it comes down to this election that we're voting in. Those are the kind of things, common sense things.
You know what? I want to stop you there, because I think from a political standpoint, the winning angle here is making it about the homelessness situation similarly, but in a different way, and blaming it on the Democrats that have led. I don't think trying to laud this guy as a hero scores any political points for conservatives. In fact, I think to people on social media and online, it makes conservatives look more heartless.
Yeah, again, yeah. Blood on your hands. Yeah.
And I just, if you want to win politically here, I think it's pointing out that there are so many homeless people on the streets, and this is a daily occurrence. You just don't see it reported in the news. And that's where the focus should be for conservatives, is pointing out how ridiculous it's gotten in cities that have led to situations where individuals have to step up to defend themselves.
Well, and that's a winning battle. There's a lot of things I think that conservatives go into now, and it's not a winning battle. And that's, I think, to your point about bringing it into the mayor's race again, that's why David O., if he goes against someone like him, he might have a chance, because people realize, hey, we have to maybe reset here a little bit.
Yeah.
And any Republican in Philadelphia, man, come on.
No, Jimmy makes a good point, though. I got this. I'll definitely surrender here. He says, it's not a matter of scoring any political points. It's a matter of defending an innocent man who has been targeted by leftist narratives.
Which is
Murder
true.
isn't illegal. Killing it wasn't illegal until he's judged guilty by a jury of his peers. Jimmy, you are 100% correct.
Yeah.
So I definitely. Yeah. But the guy died. So, I mean, that's where I was going with that. So I apologize for calling him a murderer. That's a legal term. That's definitely not been proven yet. So
yeah.
So Anthony, I'm gonna go refresh here, but a couple streaming suggestions. While I get this, you have a series called Dave that you're checking out.
Yeah, Dave. I don't know if anyone's heard of Dave in our demographic by chance, but it's a show with a rapper, Lil Dicky. If you've heard of him before, I think most Philadelphia people, you've at least probably heard his biggest hit, Save That Money. That was pretty big.
Many people have.
I don't know. Yeah, you might not have. But either way, I think his show's better than his music really ever was. It's pretty well done. The narrative,
Hulu, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Every Wednesday on FX as well, and it's just so quirky and insane. We're on the 3rd season now, and he kind of goes through these phases of his first relationship and kind of the trials and tribulations of that, while also trying to figure out your career. And it's so goofy and stupid and silly in a way, but it's also so well done in a sense of you can tell that he's putting his all in it. It's not necessarily the truth, but you can feel that it's kind of like his real story, and you're almost following it to an extent.
It's dry humor, right?
It's dry humor, and to an extent, it's like a more raunchy Entourage. Okay. Kind of, but in hip hop.
So more like an Entourage than a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Which is, I mean, it's a fun watch. It's different than, a Succession or a Game of Thrones or something, more serious that you've been getting into.
Have you checked out Bupkis yet?
I have not watched it yet, but I've heard that's on Peacock, correct?
It's on Peacock.
Yeah, yeah.
And I only asked that because Dave, Little Dicky's show, I've heard it compared to Bupkis and Pete Davidson's new show. Scott Cronick came on the Dom show this past week and suggested. He said it's a good watch. He thinks Joe Pesci's fantastic in it.
Yeah, that's funny that Pesci's in it with all these young guys now, and Shane Gillis is actually also in it. And I shout out Shane. I'm gonna go see him this weekend actually, so I'm excited. Yeah.
Where are you going to see him?
Yeah, out in Hershey. He's performing with Tim Dillon, Nick Mullen, Big J Okerson. So that'll be a fun, good time.
Bill says conservatives have been pointing out how crazy it is letting this trash roam our streets, being a threat to law-abiding citizens. We are outnumbered by Democratic morons. Also, involuntary manslaughter would be the charge, not murder. Minnie, thank you for that. That's why I'm not a law expert. But back to Bill's point. It's been going on. We've been pointing it out. Everyone's been pointing out what's been going on, but nobody wants to blame it on Democrats, it seems. I'm going somewhere with this. We have now this whole Durham report too.
Yeah.
And it's going to fall flat on its face. I hate to say, that's my prediction. In a utopia, I would like for this to go somewhere in the media, be honest about it, and actually say, Trump got screwed here. And there was, I want to say he's vindicated with the Russia hoax.
Yeah.
But they're not going to, because the media is completely dishonest. How do you think conservatives can break through a dishonest media to get the truth out there, or is it just hopeless at this point?
I think it's kind of hopeless on both ends. I don't think Trump's going to necessarily get reelected either. Well, excuse me. I'm so used to talking about the election. I'm not sure Trump will ever get arrested either. As badly as they want to arrest him, I don't think anything will ever happen to the Bidens, or say Obama and Hillary apparently were in Russia trying to get involved with things like this. And
it needs to be turned into a movie is what it needs to happen.
I mean, it straight up is a movie script, and that's politics in a nutshell now. But I think that is the issue. If you or I do something, if we break the law, we are held to a standard. These people that are the kings of the castle, no matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, they continue to get away with this stuff, and this structure that we have set up that's supposed to hold them accountable doesn't hold them accountable at all anymore.
Yeah. So
I think that's really the clear issue. And whether you think Biden's a criminal, whether you think Trump's a criminal, I think all of this stuff is just so monotonous.
So are you in favor of the... so there's two ways to go on this. You can either be in favor of the investigations into Trump time after time by the FBI, as long as it's done to Democrats, or you can go back to how it was before, where they're just getting away with shit left and right.
I kind of am actually... It's like you lose both ways.
Yeah.
You literally, there's no winning in that sense, but I guess I'd rather them just ignore it a little bit, because at least at the end of the day, then I don't know. It's hard to even justify that, because it's just either way we're losing. So
yeah, and us normal people, like normal individuals.
I think it's just a witch hunt turned into these things that are such an issue politically. We can't just point the finger and go after the other side every single time when you lose. We can't keep doing that. And things can't be okay when it works for your side, but it's not okay when it works for the other side. And that in a nutshell is the complete problem with it, because we can't do it. That's why I was so frustrated when the GOP got control, and now we have this Comer report, and I get it. I understand it, and I understand fully why they're doing it. But I think at the end of the day, I wish they wouldn't do this, because I want them to focus on policy for the American people. And I think You
don't think it's important for, the Hunter stuff to...
I mean, I'm not saying it's not important.
The Comer report, if you're not familiar, about a week ago, Comer came out and talked about these revelations that were discovered in an investigation into Hunter Biden. That's what you're referring to there?
Yes, and I'm not trying to say that it doesn't matter, but I think it would resonate with Americans more if you made your first priority the American people. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean don't go after Hunter Biden, but as to this entire topic as a whole, like we're saying, nobody's ever held accountable.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to justify that, but how do we address that? I think that's something. How do we get to a point where we finally hold these politicians accountable again, no matter who they are? And I mean, Democrats could say the same thing about Trump. So it's, and I don't know.
So just from a general landscape of politics, then, are you leaning in any certain direction towards a national candidate?
I like RFK.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a big RFK guy.
I mean, if the guy had any like chance, the conspiratorial things about him, I love. I mean, we haven't really
he's
gotten
like-
into conspiracies here, but we will eventually. We both love
I
conspiracies.
love the Kennedys just generally, and he's like, I think everything we need and more. And it maybe, everyone said Trump had no chance. He could. I think people are sick of it, man. If it's really Trump Biden again, you know how many people. Well, we know how many people hate Trump. I think a lot of people hate Biden now too.
Yeah.
Clearly. So where does that go from here?
So
Are we going to see? Honestly, I think Trump Biden turnout could be very, very, very low. And who knows if someone, whether it's
very
Marianne,
low or very high, because if you hate someone enough, it drives you to the polls.
is that going to work again?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to work again.
Yes, he says bro after. I think he's referring to your RFK.
I love RFK, yeah.
Minnie says RFK is right about COVID-19, but he's a bit radical about other vaccines.
I don't care about his vaccine takes that much.
Yeah.
He wants to take down the 3-letter organizations. He wants to take it all back and talk about how corrupt everything is and stop funding the war. And I mean, I'm with most of what he believes in. The vaccine stuff is a bit conspiratorial.
You know who I really like? If we're allowed to pick fringe candidates that have no shot at winning, that's what Kennedy is.
That's what
I like Vivek.
You like Vivek
I
Ramaswamy?
love
yeah,
Vivek.
he's great at speaking. He really is. He's a great
Wait,
speaker.
hold on. He's a great speaker. You don't like his points?
No, he does. I guess I don't know. I guess I look at him as more of a pundit than I do a candidate.
I see that.
But
like Andy, what was his name? Andy Yang.
yeah,
Andy Yang this year?
kind of like he is kind of like Yang, I guess.
What I love about Vivek is he knows what he's talking about when it comes to ESG ratings and everything that's going on with corporations and the woke ideology. I really think the guy knows what he's talking about. I think he would be great in the role of president. But again, with DeSantis and Trump hogging up that conservative side, there's no way that guy's going to get any support.
I don't know how much support DeSantis has anymore, but obviously you're right. He'll probably have much more support than RFK will.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's something, it really will be interesting the more we get into this national race, because I really do think people are fed up with the candidates on both sides. And especially if they try to do this whole no debate thing and try
I hate this no debate thing. Like, it should be like wrestling,
Dude,
where a candidate, if they want to debate someone, they can make an open challenge and be like, yeah, I want you. And there's like promos leading up to it, going back and forth.
Exactly. That's what we
pay-per-view buys.
We the people demand that. That is literally why we have. Come on, this is why we left England. Like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous. It's absolutely
duels.
Yeah. We need debates. We absolutely need debates. I don't care if people think they've seen everything from Biden and Trump. I don't want that to necessarily be the case either. But they should be debating.
There should be open primary debates.
There needs to be debates everywhere.
I want to see RFK versus Trump versus Biden versus Vivek. I want them all in there going back and forth. Many writes, I wish DeSantis and Trump would quit fighting. Earlier, I saw a Trump commercial against DeSantis on CNN at the pizza place.
I also saw that same commercial, the MAGA PAC one. Yeah,
it's ramping up.
Also, PAC money. Just can we stop?
I really fear that those two guys are gonna beat each other down to the point that nobody's gonna vote for either of them.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, and they're gonna continue. The party's already split. They're gonna continue to split the party, even though God knows how much more. I mean, even myself, like, I'm trying to support whether it's Trump or DeSantis at times, but it's hard for me to fully, just because I feel like both of them, when you think they're going in the right path, they make a huge misstep, and I think both of them have kind of done that lately. I think obviously both of them would be an upgrade from Biden. Yeah. That's just not even a debate here. But I think, to your point, that's why we should have an open debate on both sides with this primary, and Biden should have to go up against all these people in the left and the right as well with Trump. We shouldn't just assume that he's the candidate just because he was on CNN. So it's.
I honestly like the politics of Trump a lot, the most, honestly, more than DeSantis. I just fear that when Trump is the candidate, rhetoric and conversation, debate, political conversation becomes personality issues and very face value tweets, that kind of thing, rather than issues. And I think when you have a very left media that can create a narrative, you're going to always lose that personality debate. But when it comes to the actual, deep issues, the conversation around the issues, economy, that's where the Republicans win, and that's where the conversation needs to be, not about tweets that Trump's making about a CNN anchor or something like that. And I just don't want to go through another.
Well, and it gets Trump in his ego
of that.
mode. It gets him in, like exactly with how they opened that whole CNN debate and how they pressed him on 2020. And I get it. The election was partially rigged, but they also said it was rigged when you won it. And you didn't reform the elections totally because it helped you out in that sense. Like, I'm just so sick of this, like, can we stop looking at it that way? Because there's probably been cheating in elections forever. I shouldn't say probably. There's definitely been cheating in elections forever.
Yeah.
So can we look at the system, look how to fix it, and not care about, oh, well, maybe if it helps me this time, then it's okay. But then next time when I lose,
assholes and say, oh, there's nothing going on here, when there clearly is stuff going on.
Well, and it seems like in 2016, 2020, even with the Democrats, there's also something going on too. So like this is exactly on top of the migrant issues with them trying to just pretty much buy votes, giving them cell phones at the border and God with all this Title 42 stuff. So it's just, I think it's not a rational playing field.
Do you feel support of RFK from our listeners at 1210? Like on Twitter, I've seen like a lot of like pro RFK kind of rhetoric.
I think it's almost similar to what you were saying about Bill Maher, where he's a warrior to the left and almost a warrior, very much a warrior against woke. And not only that, a lot of the people who voted for Trump, I think, would be RFK people as well. Those people that like weren't into politics.
Anti-establishment.
Yes. Like the Kennedys, as much as I guess,
I mean that's the establishment.
I guess, but then now the establishment's got so crazy that the Kennedys actually are not the establishment because they got taken out because they wanted to improve the government.
I say literally twice, but yes.
They got I shouldn't say they definitely got taken out. That's allegedly got taken out.
We'll get into conspiracies.
Yeah.
RFK Trump ticket blowing up. Justin says, he says, hi, Dan. That's Justin from the wedding that you got into a fight with over Tom Brady.
Yeah, boo. Tom Brady.
Well, that was my brother. I forgot what you and Justin were going back and forth about. Maybe you're on the same side. So with RFK, I think a lot of what his support comes from is the anti-establishment. It's a lot of the coronavirus. I think a lot of people think coronavirus was a power play, a try for some kind of, overarching establishment to show their power over a base of citizens. And I think RFK kind of calls that out and wants to try to get answers about it. But I say that all because if you haven't watched Apple TV's Silo, you got to go check it out. If you're one of those people that have a lot of questions about coronavirus as to whether or not this was some kind of power ploy, whether we were being lied to, and if you love sci-fi, the show Silo on Apple, it's about a society that lives inside a silo, and their only view of the outside world are windows. And a hard drive comes up that suggests that what they're being shown on their windows is actually not the reality of what the outside world looks like. So the entire show is unraveling a conspiracy as to whether or not the elites inside the silo are trying to keep people inside the silo to remain in power. So I have to say, it sounds very similar to a real life situation we lived through for a couple of years.
Yeah, on Apple of all services.
On Apple of all services. So it's now 3 episodes in, man, and it's like 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's getting some critical disappointment because of it has definitely a conservative bend to it.
Yeah.
Being questioning those who are in power. But I highly suggest it. 3 episodes in, it's a fantastic series. So
that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Does Apple TV pay you, Dan? You love their shows. I gotta say, man. No, it's funny she says that because it sounds like they do, because Ted Lasso, I think, is the best show until this most recent season, but the best new comedy show that's come out. I really liked the Morning Show.
Morning Show was great. Yeah, I liked it as well.
They have M. Night Shyamalan's The Servant. I don't know if you saw that.
I haven't watched it. Wasn't that filmed in Philly?
It was filmed in Philly. Yeah.
I need to watch that.
I think it was Chestnut Hill, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I think the new season they were in Rittenhouse.
Were they in Rittenhouse? Yeah. It's great. It's all really good stuff. And then that one with the space that I really liked for a while. Do you know the one with the space?
Was that called Lost in Space?
No.
That was the Netflix series.
Apple show. Then it got real political, and For All Mankind.
Oh, gotcha.
For All Mankind is really good too. So,
no,
I'm not paid by Apple. I just really like. I think
Mythic Quest, another good one.
Oh, you're right.
Mythic Quest is
another. And then
with Mac from Always Sunny.
And then there's another show, Shrinking. I haven't checked out yet, made by the makers of Ted Lasso. That's also allegedly really good. And
I'm
there's a
still.
show called-
I need to finish Ted Lasso season 3. I've been hesitant. I need to do that.
It's not that good. It doesn't live up to the other 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Invasion is another series I want to check out. So no, Minnie, I'm not paid by Apple, but you can see I'm not exaggerating. I think Apple is the new HBO when it comes to quality of series.
I don't know. I like HBO a lot
Yeah?
too. I
Yeah.
love HBO.
Yeah, HBO really hasn't put out anything horrible. Well,
I
say
feel
that
like
these-
everything's consistent with them. I love White Lotus.
We
That's like
Own
my
the
favorite
Streets
show.
Yeah, White Lotus is really
It's
good.
my favorite.
I was
I
real
love
down
it.
on it at first, but it came around
Oh
by the
my
end of the
god,
first
the
season.
first and second seasons are just
HBO though.
watch it.
With We Own the Streets, I was so excited because I thought you got the writer of The Wire coming back to do another series based in Baltimore, based on a true story though, and they really made it political. I'm just
yeah.
like, oh, HBO,
Well,
falter there.
that
But
happens sometimes.
I know, and I can't let it judge too much.
Yeah.
You watch The Wire?
I am still not caught up on The Wire. I need
No.
to do that. It's so hard because it's such a detailed show,
It
and we're
is.
so busy.
It's
and
one
I
of those
just
things
haven't-
you can't be thinking about something else. You got to be invested in the TV show.
You can't. It's not. You can't like check your phone. You can't look at what's the score of the
Oh.
game. You can't do any of that.
Speaking of The
yeah.
Wire, Tommy Carcetti, a mayor candidate who promised a lot and then failed to deliver. There are Helen Gim numbers in promising a lot, failing to deliver, but she's not doing what we thought she'd do. More recent 231 out of 1703 divisions reported now. Sherelle Parker, 21,000 votes. She leads with 32% of the vote. Rebecca Reinhart, 15,746 votes, 23.56% of the vote. Helen Gim, 15% of the vote at 10,000 votes. And Alan Dom, 15% at 10,000 votes. It kind of looks like Helen might not pull this out.
Wow.
Yeah.
On par with Alan Dom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is surprising because I thought Alan Dom would be up there higher than Rebecca.
I mean, I wanted
thought
him
it'd be
to.
Sherelle Parker.
I
Helen
wanted
Gim,
him
and
to
Alan Dom.
be. I think this is. I think it comes down to the identity politics, which I think most Philadelphians don't really care about the identity politics. But I think the perceptions in the city after Kenny and Krasner and the status quo of rich white guys just sitting upstairs and doing whatever they want. Like I think that's just and Alan Dom is not that guy. He really isn't. He was walking to everything with his dog, just walking around alone, no security. I mean, he's someone who he put $10 million in his ad
But the
campaign
thing is,
for this.
Dom
and
says this all the time. He doesn't do a good job of he didn't do a good job of portraying himself elsewhere. Like
Yeah.
if you look at Alan Dom, I hate to say it, if you were to, we use Getty Images as a service, but I'm just going to use it as, if you Google image searched Alan Dom, I would say 9 out of 10 pictures, the guy has a grimace on his face.
Yeah.
And he seems like he is not the happiest individual, but every contact I've had with him, I mean, it's been in the campaign season. Well, I talked to him as a councilman before then too.
Mm-hmm.
He's always had a very positive, optimistic demeanor about him, and I just don't know why that wasn't portrayed well on the debate stage. There's a story that he should have told about him being Batman that we told on the last episode here.
I heard about that. Yeah.
The guy, he's often talked about as being some rich, guy, but he really was a rags to riches kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he conveyed that well enough.
I think that's a common theme
But
in politics now.
So if you're a political advisor though, and you are realistically in a city that's so based on identity politics, if you try painting yourself as something that you truly are people still going to see it as ingenuine? Just you're trying to blow smoke up your own ass.
I don't know, because I think it comes down to the trends of, I think with social media and media in general, I think people have gotten so fed up with the fake spoon-fed, like, put on a show and dance kind of thing, that when someone is genuine, whether that's a politician or, no matter what it is, I think people do gravitate toward that. So you're right. I think if he was more honest, maybe a little more, even to an extent, vulnerable and just willing.
That's what it is.
Willing.
I think it's vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of what relatability in today's world comes from is vulnerability and showing that you're able to, I don't know if it's even to be joked with, but take jokes, have a sense of humor, show a human side. You don't want to be just a brash.
Yeah, don't just show your ego and
I think,
empty promises.
I think the best person that did that throughout the campaign was Sherelle. She was dancing on stage the other night. Don was incredibly impressed with her dancing ability. But But yeah, like Sherelle. Every time I see her, it's "Hey D, how you doing?" She's always chipper, always super happy. And I think when we're talking about genuine nature of candidates, I think she portrayed herself as the most genuine Philadelphian out of any of the candidates.
Yeah, and just we're getting some more chat in here saying, yeah, he needs some PR work. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Also, Justin said RFK Trump ticket, blow it up. Which actually, I was watching Breaking Points earlier, a political podcast, and they had JFK on, or excuse me, RFK on today, and he said he doesn't think that he would endorse Trump or support Trump because they have so many differences, and he has no other plan. He really wants the Democratic nod, so we'll see how that goes for him.
I think he just wants it so he can grill the Democrats during the debates.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. I mean,
yeah, that is.
Get them on record.
Well, hopefully that makes more people realize what's going on. And this is something I didn't make this point earlier, but maybe we could just wrap the national convo with this.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, especially Democrats need to hold their politicians accountable. It's so funny to me, whether it's someone like Helen Gim or any of these progressives. Look at someone like AOC or Bernie or all these people who claim to say, I'm a part of a different form of politics and we will get things done for you. And they don't really necessarily get anything done. Things go stagnant, if not get worse. And then they continue to sit there and promise you this reality that doesn't exist, and they don't come up with real solutions. Yeah. So, and why aren't they called out more? Yeah. Why aren't they? Why? I say get a new quarterback. We say, replace the corners.
You think it's personal?
I mean, to Republicans' credit, they've been doing that lately. Maybe they're a little harsh at times with the whole rhino thing and the whole Trump effect of the party and them turning on each other, but at least they're trying to get what they want.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the time Democrats, they just like, oh, well, it's better than the other side.
Yeah. Do you think it's because people have a lot of trouble in today's world admitting that they're wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're always wrong. Just admit that you're wrong all the time.
I look at Krasner, and the guy got elected. Philadelphians seemed to want him at one point, but you go to any Philadelphian now, there's nobody that seems to support this guy. But why isn't there a push to like when he was the push to be impeached? There was a pushback against he's duly elected, blah blah blah. Why aren't the news channels recognizing what the guy has done here? And I think it's just because people don't want to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah,
and they refuse to face. The chickens have come home to roost.
I think us as a society, we need to realize we're more wrong than we're right, and we also don't know much. We really don't. We're on a floating planet in a universe that there's apparently billions of, that it just so happened to happen. So, yeah, we don't know much. We really don't. And I think that you're right. It comes down to we all get in our egos and get angry and, oh, I was right and this happened to me. The whole it's the same thing Democrats do now, the victimization. Mm-hmm. It's just victimization and, oh, look, woe is me. And if we can't keep operating like that, because I think that's creating the environment we have. So,
South Philadelphia woman, she was on her way. So today, she wakes up, very pregnant, goes into labor, water breaks. On her way to the hospital, has to pull over to vote.
Oh, God.
So while in labor, a South Philadelphia woman voted today. That's pretty honorable.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, so I would say that she might be in more pain than you are, but you also had a painful voting experience as well.
Yeah.
So after you voted, what happened?
I just keep aggravating it. But, yeah, I've been walking around a lot in the city lately, and I should pay more attention because half the sidewalks are just destroyed at times. And there was a pothole. There's a giant, I shouldn't even say a pothole, a crater, and I rolled my ankle. And yeah, now there's a scooter still in the studio from when I hurt my leg earlier, so maybe I'll use that again tomorrow. So
that is your scooter in there.
Yeah.
It's been sitting there for like a year now.
Now I might need to use it again, yeah.
So you voted for Parker, right?
I did. I voted for Sherelle Parker. And I know this morning I said I was going to stick to my guns with
But I
Dom,
only say that. I don't know if I just revealed something I shouldn't.
No, it's okay.
Because it was Dom, and then you went Parker. But when you stepped in the pothole and tore your knee again, did you scream to the heavens saying I should have voted for Alan Dom
in
his,
bit.
Pro Streets campaign?
A little bit. And I still do really think Dom probably had the best policy. But I hate thinking this way, but when I was in there, I really was like, I have a feeling Sherelle just has such a good chance, and I want to help support her if Dom's not really going to move the needle for me.
Like if it's going to come down to 200 votes between Parker and Gim, you don't want to give your vote to Dom.
Exactly. So even though I guess she isn't my perfect candidate, even though I do like Sherelle a lot and I'm excited, I hope that it's encouraging early on. We don't know what's happening yet still, but I think that's a very, very good early
So updated
indicator.
numbers, 66,000 votes counted, 21,000 votes in favor of Sherelle Parker, 15% in favor, or I'm sorry, 15,000 votes in favor of Rebecca Reinhart, 10,000 votes in favor of Gim and Dom. Percentage breakdowns, Sherelle has 32% of the vote, Reinhart has 24%, Gim and Dom around 15%. So it looks like it's going Sherelle's way. KYW, as I said earlier in today's broadcast, before we came on, mentioned that they would expect a safe number is about 80,000 votes for the winner to achieve their nomination. So Parker about a quarter of the way there. Let me pull up the map here, but man, it's refreshing. I gotta say, like if we can sign off here, and it looks like there's a. I mean, obviously things can change.
A lot can change. Yeah,
things can change quickly, but Parker versus Gim gives me a lot more hope for Philadelphia. You agree? I
agree. I think a lot of those voters that I guess would be on the fence probably went Parker, and I think when you listen to Parker, she is genuine, and I hope this national endorsement trend from Helen, I hope that made Philadelphians realize, like, what is she trying to even do? Like, that isn't. Yeah, again, this is a neighborhood town. This is a neighborhood town. You have to, and Sherelle understood that. I think a lot of these candidates understood that. So, you know, even if it's Rebecca, who I guess I've soured on a little bit, I think she'd even be a much better candidate than Helen. So, all signs looking up right now for us. So we'll see how it continues to follow up.
Trying to pull up some results here based on Ward. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Let's talk sports though while I do this. Then we'll get out of here.
Doc Rivers.
Doc's gone.
See ya.
Good move, right?
I mean, that was imminent, yeah.
What it signifies to me though is less hope for the future. And I say that because with Doc gone, that means that Morey's listening to Harden. Because Harden clearly wanted Doc gone, which would signify to me that there's a future that Harden has here in Philadelphia, which I don't want.
Supposedly Embiid may be disappointed that Doc left.
Really?
There's murmurs about that. Listen, Embiid's not going anywhere. Harden they could trade. Maxey clearly is a guy that they need to maybe even plan most of their future around with how he played in the end of that series. Embiid's not going anywhere though. They're not going to trade him. And hopefully whoever they get can try to maximize whatever they got. They need to get, I guess, more shooters. I think it comes down to the championship really is barely in arm's reach anymore. But even if you blow it up and trade Harden and Embiid and try to win with Maxey right now, I still don't think your championship window. But at the same time, the NBA is so wide open right now. There's not this super team issue that there was a few years back.
Oh, there's going to be in a couple of years now.
Well,
Charlotte, those Hornets, baby.
Yeah, that's true with these picks.
Vic Wembanyama, or whatever his name is, to a ball now.
So, yeah, I mean, that's true. There could be. So, I don't know. I don't want to say that there's no hope for the Sixers. It feels like there's no hope right now. That's definitely true. I came on with BetQL immediately after that game with some of our guys down at Dallas with their Odyssey station, and that was great to talk about how demoralizing that was to watch live on the air. But it either way, I think firing Doc obviously is a great move, but I mean, maybe firing Morey might even be a good move at this point. I
mean,
I don't know. I don't know what's next.
I feel like you got to fire the guy before he inevitably brings in Mike D'Antoni as the next coach.
If they have D'Antoni, yeah. Like, I mean, that's who they were considering before Doc. Like, I don't know if I like that idea. I don't know if I hate it, though, either, because, again, like, the Sixers are near their ceiling. Could they cap out a little higher? They could. They could maybe get to the next level, but it really comes down to, I think, health and effort. And Harden's not getting any younger. Embiid, I'm less worried about, but Harden, as much as I think we give him a lot of slack, and he has performed better than people would have expected, he's still not getting any better. So that's, I think, a concern most of us should have moving forward if we want to be quote-unquote contenders with that.
I'm not looking forward to the future. Like I gotta say,
I'm someone who has believed in this since the start. Sam Hinkie 10 years ago Sunday was hired then, and I remember buying $1 tickets and seeing them draft Jaleel Okafor and watching Tony Roten and Thaddeus Young get traded and everything.
Jeremy
and,
Grant.
Yeah,
and,
so
yeah.
Everyone wants this. This is a basketball city. I know we love football, we love baseball, but basketball is so storied.
I got to
here.
tell you, in my power rankings for my 4, he's a 4 for 4 Philadelphia fan. I think the Flyers have now surpassed the Sixers.
I'm excited about their move too with Jonesy and Briere.
I love Keith Jones. Have you ever had experiences?
I saw him in here today. I was like, "Congrats, bud!" And he's like, "You better be wearing a Flyers hat next time I see you." I was like,
I'll get on.
Next
time we'll wear a Flyers hat just for that guy. He's such a genuinely just good individual.
He gets the fans too, which I think that's one of the main issues that they've had. They have no idea what the fans want. They're focused on selling gritty merch right now. So I don't know.
Again, Dom was right. I hate to say it. Dom from day one says gritty's a terrible idea, and
it was a terrible idea.
I was happy with it. I was excited. I thought he was awesome at first, and now it's just taking over. And,
no, it was a terrible idea.
And we're talking Keith Jones, now the president of hockey operations for the Flyers, with Danny Briere, 2 formerly beloved Flyers, now taking over leadership roles. Pulling it back up towards just some quick rundowns. Alan Dom takes the Northeast. Well, all right, so I'm sorry. Let me be clear here, because I'm kind of moving away from it. Yeski says Parker going to win, ? Wow. We don't have any definite results yet. These are just kind of early numbers, so things can obviously change, but these are specifically mail-in numbers I'm going to give you right now. Mail-in numbers. Northeast Philadelphia looks to have leaned towards Alan Dom. Also, South Central Philadelphia. I don't have the exact neighborhoods in front of me. Manayunk Roxborough seems to have gone Rebecca Reinhart. Believe it or not. We were talking about that earlier. And then Center City East, like Market East, believe it or not, it looks like Reinhart in the mail-ins. Gim, more Center City West. But that's surprising, because within Market East is Chinatown.
Which you would think would have been Gim.
Yes. Yeah. So is that some kind of signal that even Chinatown support is seen through the Gim campaign? And
maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. But again, these are all just, conversations that we're having now as these numbers roll in. I mean, 66,000. I can't even get it. What is it? 7% of the vote so far?
Yeah, it's early.
It's real early still. And it usually takes until about midnight until we at least have like 96%. A good idea. But Anthony, I mean, there's so much we could still talk about, but we've been going long here. It's been a lot of fun. But I think we should probably get out of here, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta go to bed. What time? What time do you get in? Because you're back here. What time tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna be here around like 5 a.m. Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, so.
I took a nap. I anticipated this for.
Go home, sleep 3 hours.
Yeah, we're happy. We wanted to get you guys some content on the mayor's race as things rolled out. We knew we wouldn't know everything, so it was good.
No set schedule though yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. We still don't have a set schedule for Otherside. It's kind of pirate radio, pop on whenever we want to take over. Tonight we thought it was an important night with this primary. But going forward, I think we've kind of talked about doing things on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah, we're going to try to come here early in the week for you, Tuesday nights, trying to engage.
And we're not talking this late. This is a special thing because we were waiting for polls to close before we got on. So Tuesday, 6:30ish, right?
Yeah, I have a bedtime, so come on.
Yeah, got to get you out. Get you out of here.
My God. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. We'll be here then, I guess, at the very least for you next Tuesday. If anything changes, maybe we'll pop in and out. Also, you can find our podcast now on the Odyssey app. Woo! Just look up The Other Side with Dan and DiRenzo, and it should pop up. And also, it should shortly be up on Spotify and Apple, or wherever you find your shows shortly. It's just still kind of processing just because it's new. So, again, we thank you guys for watching. It's been awesome, and we'll continue to update you. Tune in tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. for all our live and local content here at Talk Radio 1210. Have a great night. For Dan and Anthony, thank you for watching.
See ya.
Have a good one.